G'day, I'm Paul. So Toyota has just announced that it is killing the V8 engine here in Australia. The last car to have the V8, or the last vehicle to have the V8, was the 70 series LandCruiser. They haven't had orders open on this for quite some time, but it is now officially dead. You cannot buy a V8 LandCruiser anymore here in Australia. Today I'm going to explain to you why they've done this, when the changes will happen, and what alternatives you have. If you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this video, you can use the time codes that are on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But let's get cracking on this video. So what has actually happened? Well, Toyota has officially killed the V8, and they did it as part of a rolling change here to the 70 series. You remember a little while back, they announced the update to the 70 series that had those sort of funny looking headlights on the front there. At the time of the update, they introduced a 4-cylinder into the mix, and it was paired with an automatic transmission. It's basically a carryover engine from the Hilux and mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. But the V8 still lived on and was available with a 5-speed manual transmission, so fairly archaic setup. But they weren't taking any additional orders, so anyone that had a V8 70 series LandCruiser on order was told, you've got to wait, or alternatively, we can swap you into a 4-cylinder. And you can imagine how thrilled people that had a V8 on order would have been to swap into an auto 4-cylinder. Not very thrilled. So what Toyota then did was sit on it for a little while, and for about 2 years, you couldn't order a new V8 Toyota LandCruiser 70 series. Well, that's all changing today because the brand has come out and officially said that the V8 is dead. Basically, by the end of this year, we're going to see the final deliveries of the V8 powered wagons. That's the Troop Carrier, Workmate, GX, Utes as well. So they're going to reach customers by the end of this year, and only customers that had an existing V8 on order. The balance of the rest of the vehicles, which is GXL, Utes, they're going to be in production all the way through to the end of next year. But from that point onwards, we're not going to see this anymore. And they have enough back orders there to run them through on an order supply through to next year. That is how many people are sitting there waiting at the moment. And I suspect we're going to see a lot of prospectors and a lot of people who are going to be sitting on orders so that they can flip these. This will become a very, very rare commodity, a V8 manual on today's market. It's almost unheard of. So I think a lot of people that had orders in are going to wait until they get their vehicle delivered, and they'd probably list them for sale for 2 or 3 times as much as they bought them for. In fact, videographer Sean and podcast host Sean, he actually got a photo of one that was listed for sale in another state with a price tag of over $100,000, and that was a 4-cylinder. So there are absolute dreamers out there at the moment. So the V8 is dead, but what are they actually doing to help customers here? So they're introducing a manual 4-cylinder. So they're hoping that for some reason someone will want to switch from manual V8 to a manual 4-cylinder. So you'll have the option now of an automatic 4-cylinder, 150 kilowatts, 500 Newton meters of torque, basically a replica of what they have in the updated Hilux without the hybrid equipment. They're now introducing a manual though, so a 5-speed manual. It's basically an uprated version of the manual that's available in the V8. And they're saying here that it basically has a flywheel compatible with a 12-inch clutch, plus a dual seal to prevent foreign matter entering the release bearing. So these are enhancements they've made. They've also adjusted the gear ratios here as well on that one. So it has unique gear ratios with a shorter 1st, 2nd and 3rd gear for better performance off the line, and then a longer 5th gear, triple synchronization mechanism as well for 1st gear for smoother gear changes. So basically they're putting that in, but it will come at the cost of torque output. So even though the 4-cylinder version with the automatic is 500 Newton meters, when they pair it with this 5-speed manual, it actually drops the torque output to 450 Newton meters. So you're losing 50 Newton meters there. And then in addition to that, that is still more than the V8, which is 430 Newton meters. So there is an option there for people who still want a manual, but it is definitely no V8. What has Toyota said to people that are actually still holding on to an order for a V8? They've said here that some of them, that is customers, are moving to a 4-cylinder. Now that we've got a 4-cylinder manual coming, that may be advantageous for some of them, but if they wish to stick to a V8, that's fine. We'll work through and try and fulfill those orders. So what they're basically saying is we're going to try and move you to a 4-cylinder, whether it's an automatic or a manual, or if you want to stick with a V8, we're going to keep it there, but they will not accept any new orders. So what does all that mean? Why have they made that change? So they've made the change because what's happening in the world now is emissions regulations are becoming much harder. And as a result of that, a V8, a turbo diesel V8, is not a very friendly thing to have in a dual cab ute. For a company like Toyota that's heavily affected by the upcoming emissions laws that we have here in Australia, a V8 is conducive to them making sales, but it isn't conducive to them fitting within the new government's emissions targets. And that means that Toyota will get fined for each one of these that they sell that breaches the emissions level that the government is going to set. Obviously, Toyota doesn't want to waste any money on that stuff, so they are going to get rid of this model. And they say that customers are moving away from this type of vehicle, and to be honest, I don't think that's true at all. I think the type of customer that buys a 70 series wants a manual V8. Yes, you've got some fleets that want a 4-cylinder auto, but predominantly a manual V8 is what made this vehicle as cool as it was. And let me know if I'm wrong in the comment section below. Are you a customer of one of these? Are you happy to settle with a 4-cylinder? Let me know what you think about that. It also means that if you do want to settle for a 4-cylinder, they're claiming that there's a 3 to 6 month wait on all 4-cylinder models. So it's not exactly a huge amount of time to wait. And it's interesting just to have a look at some of the numbers here. So according to Toyota, they've sold almost 350,000 70 series vehicles in Australia since 1985. And over half of those were a V8. And you've got to remember that during that time, some of the time there wasn't actually a V8 available. So it is interesting to see that so many people have actually gone for the V8, and it shows you that they are definitely sort of interested in that. Now, what is the alternative like? What is the 4-cylinder LandCruiser 70 series like? Well, we've done a number of videos now, and in each one of these videos, it has outperformed the V8 by a long shot. We did a drag race, and we found that the 4-cylinder was significantly faster than the V8. We also did a towing test and again found out that the 4-cylinder was significantly better. In fact, I remember at one point in that video, we actually had to drop back to first to get up this hill that, it is a big hill, but a hill that most dual cab utes would be able to climb without any dramas. With the manual 70 series, we had to dive back to first to actually climb the hill because it was losing so much speed. And then finally, we actually did a drag race with a Mahindra pickup and the V8 70 series, and the Mahindra ended up just beating it. So I think it shows you that, yes, the V8 in this was fantastic. A lot of people modified them by sticking automatic transmissions in them, making them a whole lot meatier, and they had a long reputation of being invincible. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Toyota is hunting for sales. They want to keep those fleets satisfied, and they want to ensure that this stays on living. Now, I hear some of you asking, what about safety regulations? This lost its 5-star ANCAP safety rating recently, and Toyota was quite clever. They had issues with side impact protection on a lot of passenger cars that went on sale here in Australia. They had to meet a certain regulation that meant that if you didn't have this particular side impact crash element, your car wasn't allowed to be on sale. Well, Toyota was clever. They basically adjusted the GVM ever so slightly on 70 series and bumped it into a category of a light truck. And that meant that it was no longer classed as a passenger vehicle, and it could outlive these safety regulations. That could only live for so long, because while it is still a safe vehicle in its current form, down the track we're going to have it tested again, and fleets that require a 5-star safety rating just won't accept this because it doesn't have that. And in addition to that, Toyota is going to end up racking up big fines for the emissions regulations that are coming in next year. Even with the 4-cylinder, it'll only buy them a certain amount of time before they have to eventually part ways with this vehicle and opt for a replacement instead. So what do you reckon? I think we all knew that the end of the V8 was coming. Yes, we're going to be very sad. No, it wasn't the best engine in the world when you compare it to the 4-cylinder, but I still loved it because it was a manual V8 and you can't really buy many of those. And it has just so much heritage in this vehicle, and the amount of mods that people created for them were pretty cool as well. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Do you reckon the 4-cylinder is an adequate replacement? Would you go a manual 4-cylinder over the automatic? I'm keen for your feedback. And are you currently on the order list for a V8? Are you going to wait, or are you going to switch to the 4-cylinder? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm keen to hear your thoughts. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well. But until next time, take it easy.